So, hello everybody. My name is Wouter Hager. I'm from Amsterdam, Netherlands. I work in a company, a huge company. It's myself, it's called Lago. And my first time here on XML Prague, and it's really nice to have the opportunity to be here when this release of eXist 2.0 is here, which is very cool, guys. So that's something special, and I want to talk about JSON and eXist. I made some hacks myself to be able to use JSON RESTfully in eXist, and it's not my own idea. I actually stole it. It was inspired by a platform that is called Persevere. It is created in JavaScript on the server, so it will run in Node.js and some Java-based JavaScript interpreters. But it's very nice to use, but I also use eXist, and I wanted to be able to combine the services at some point. So the reason I wanted to do that is because I like to use Dojo a lot. It's a fun toolkit for the client kind of guy, and the patterns that are developed by Dojo are really quite intelligent and something worth looking at. So why? Don't spend all your money in one place. It's always a good idea to broaden your horizon, I guess, and there's also a lot of legacy that you need to be able to adopt into your own work. Plus, like I said, I really like to develop on the client, which is not necessarily JavaScript, but I come to that later. Why? So, because I can do client-side templating. Browsers are incredibly fast at the moment, so you can really manipulate DOM in the client, which has some advantages over generating HTML, be it dynamic from a web server. You can do localization, and you can do it smart because you can manipulate it at the moment that you have it in the DOM structure. And you can do client-side validation, which is really nice because you don't have to send everything to the server to see if it's okay. So that'll spare you some round trips if it's not valid. You can use some schema. I use JSON schema, which is developed by the Dojo Foundation as well. So, like I said, I use JavaScript, but not only. I have some super structure to be able to create the DOM without ever writing it, or without even writing the JavaScript code. So I would just use some variables in the graph, and from this like a dependency graph, generate widgets that will just run in the browser without coding. So what do I need to do this? I need a JSON REST store, which will allow me to have simple access to JavaScript capable data. The thing about JSON REST is that it is idempotent, which means that you can send some data to the service, and it would get processed, and you get the result back, which has the same format, which actually the same data. So if you save it, then you know what you're going to get back. Either a new instance with an ID for the updated version that you have just changed. So you can obviously write your own service to achieve this. You can write the queries you want in XQuery and then output the XML as JSON, which is already done natively by eXist. Just add the serialization header and you can use it. But in this JSON environment, you can also use pluggable query engines, which means you can use more of a configuration is quite useless in this context. You can use some standard method to query. So a standard I found in the Dojo Foundation as well was the RQL standard, short for Resource Query Language, and not a very well chosen acronym because it's used in a lot of places. But besides that, it's based on a even worse acronym, which is called Fickle, and it's dead as hell. You won't find it anywhere. So why do I use that instead of manipulating my own queries, or perhaps using Lucene? Because it's much cleaner and it looks really RESTful. You can look at it and understand what it does, what it means. Plus, it will give you a way of sorting, paging, and comparing in a uniform way. But there's more. You can have logical operators. So you can make very smart queries with and or combinations in groups, and it'll return the results that you expect. You can use aggregate functions, sum, means, max, stuff like that to retrieve smarter data sets. You can use recursion, so if you have more levels in your data, then you can query deep. And finally, if you are not happy with that, then you can roll your own, as they call it, and add functions, express functions, or perhaps your own queries. And you can take care of namespaces in some way. So, what does the query look like? It uses the model ID paradigm, which has previously been explained by Wolfgang, which is used internally in the template engine. But you add parameters like this. It reminded me of XQuery in some way, because you have the braces with the key value test, but you can also ask for greater than, smaller than, or you can have a sort function. And finally, if you really want to get crazy, you can add your namespaces, add a modifier, maybe even have a path you want to query. Plus, you can add range headers in this particular standard. So, what do you need on the server to achieve this? First, you need JSON RESTfully, which is a relatively new package for eXist 2.0, which uses John Snelson's approach to parsing JSON into XML. Recently uploaded to Git and as a package. And that's really cool, because you don't need to think about how to generate the XML. But I took the liberty to add some function to make it into plain XML, which you can serialize back the way you expect with the native eXist serializer. So, for the XRQL part, my acronym, you need two functions, basically. The first is the parse function, which will parse the query string as is, and it will retrieve XML tree with the query structure as it is in JavaScript. And you need a sequence function which will return a sequence with the query applied. And finally, there is a limit of like a max of what you can retrieve. So, how does the file look? We have the paradigm model /ID. So if I have a model, for example, page, and my page would be test, then it would be page/test. And my store would be, for example, db/page. So that is the variable store. I retrieve the collection. I'm not sure if this is the code which will work, but this is short, so there it is. If you have an ID, just get it and apply the sequence with the parsed query I showed before, the parsed query already, and then serialize it as the JSON array from eXist with the JSON array helper function attribute. So to post it or put it, which is in this case the same thing, it will give you a new file if it's not available, or it will save it under the same ID or move it if it's not available, but that's too detailed. So what do we do? Parse it with the xquery JSON library, add my own function to create again the XML that will be serialized as is. Have some process to retrieve an ID, either generate it or take it from the data or from the request, obviously. And finally, store it if it exists. Retrieve the ID and store the file under the ID. So I use the UUID usually for this. This is to wrap it up. It works. I will show you in a minute. What can I do or we do to improve it, if we should want to? Generalize it. Right now, I have one file with the code I showed before, and I hardcode the store. But obviously, and that is where the second item comes in, the REST also a nice new package, which will just process from the model/ID URL. So you can generalize it in that way, and if you have the collection available, or if it's in some list, you can just use it. Caching, link resolving, that stuff that I add. Plus the topic we heard before, the WebSockets protocol. So if you store some data, if you change it, then you can connect to this subscribe to the same URL to see if there's any updates, and so you can ping it from any client. And we could again add validation on the server side to be sure that you have indeed the right XML in the end. Plus many more subjects that are a bit too much for now, but you can imagine that you make a whole media API which is ready to go and uses a lot of standard-based to process your data. So Now to show, I have this little tool, it's called Poster. It'll just send a HTTP request to the server. So right now, this is my URL. It's an apps model page, like I said. I just retrieve, so I just query. Like you can see here, there is already one item in store with a generated ID. If I would add some new, so this is what I mean with the item function. The same more expressive variety. But I added already some exquery or expat functions, so I could also ask matches. Matches will match a regular expression. So TE dot star will give you the same result. So thank you for your attention. So security is handled by eXist. You can just use the collection rights, and you can also add another class which will take care of authentication in the same JSON style that you saw before.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone? Yeah. You said it was on GitHub, but I don't find them with much that
My code?
yes, on the
JSON execute. It was added by Joe. It's in his repository. So Joe is the user. But you can, it's in the package repository. Okay.